Welcome back to the S3 Lab. We're here today to talk about Shogun, ACCRA's new product with Gawain who we've known for a million years. Yeah. And he's going to tell us all about this line and what it does and why we should try this one.
Yeah, well, Mark, it's a pleasure to be here as always. Love coming to cool clubs and talking about new products. We are really excited at ACCRA. This is a brand new line that we'll be introducing in the next few weeks. Yep. And it's a premium product that we're introducing to kind of take the place of what we've had in the past few years, the RPG line.
Gotcha.
And but this is sort of a newer, updated version, new materials, new designs, new look, and the idea is to really hit the market with a premium product that's going to be launched on tour also in the next few weeks. And we're really excited about it, really.
Well, you got definitely 3 different models here, yes. Right? And they're totally different. Not obviously there's similar color code to the GX we just talked about. 3 different color codes, but they're not specifically quite the same sort of thing, even though you kind of kept the same grouping and stuff. But let's talk about the blue one first. The blue one's kind of interesting. That's the lightest weight one of the 3. Really cool graphics. It's really pretty light. I mean, you're talking, under 50 grams, 44 actually on the M0. Yep. And you only made 2. You made an M0 and an M2. So there's no M1 in the middle.
Nope.
And this is sort of playing off, a million years ago when Su wanted softer shafts. We got the M0, which became the Sumo, which is now known not for that, but it's known for a lot of other things. But fill us in a little bit on how this one kind of works out and how long drive guys are potentially using it.
Yeah, so to your point, the original M0 shaft was in our FX line a number of years ago. And really it came from looking for a shaft for the senior golfer, the one with a very slow swing speed, to help them get the ball in the air. And one of your great fitters, Sue O'Connor, came up with the idea of creating an M0, which was basically a 190 or sub 190 CPM shaft to really help those people out. And we always had great success with it for that type of golfer. All of a sudden, in our office, we have a guy, Ken Hamilton, who helps doing a lot of testing, running our S3 machine, does some fittings and things like that. And he's an ex-long drive guy. And he had some friends who were long drive guys. And what's happened in the last, I'll say 5-7 years in the long drive world is they've discovered that double triple X limits a lot of their potential speed.
Right.
And I think Kyle Berkshire actually, if I'm kind of paraphrasing here from what I've heard, kind of started using some softer shafts, and more guys started using it. And there was a call for that sort of lightweight soft shaft on the long drive world. So Ken, knowing some guys, sent some of our Sumo FX shafts to some of the long drive guys, and it kind of blew up. And it was crazy. And we had 4 or 5 of the top 10 guys using that shaft. And then we have another shaft called iWood, which is a price point shaft.
Right.
And again, but it had like a weave in the butt section, or has a weave in the butt section, very responsive tip. And the long drive guys started gravitating towards that. So it was really cool what was kind of happening out there. So enter Shogun. Right. We want to create a premium shaft using premium materials, and we can get into that in a minute. But the idea was...
Yeah, this is made in Japan, super tight tolerances, really quality stuff.
Yeah, so just to get into that quickly, we use Acceleron MX material, which is a super high-grade aerospace material that's only used in the aerospace right now. We're the only guys using it. It's a 5K weave, so basically it's 5 different materials woven together, full length of the shaft, but it's super light. All of our shafts incorporate that for stability. The idea is we're trying to reduce ovaling. We're we're always trying to, with all of our shafts, but specifically with these, trying to increase the graphite to resin ratio. Right. So for those of you that don't understand, when we wrap graphite shafts with prepreg, it's sheets of prepreg you wrap around the shaft, and each side of the prepreg or the graphite has a layer of resin on it. And when you layer these together, you then stick them in an oven. The resin or glue makes it stick together. Well, the less resin you can use, the stronger resin you can use, the better resin you can use.
Yeah, people have talked about that for years, right?
Yeah.
The lower the resin content, because it doesn't do anything for stiffness or rigidity, but it obviously takes weight up.
It creates inconsistencies, which is always a big concern for you, tolerance. And we will put this shaft up against anybody, and we have a pretty good history with ACCRA being good quality. And the idea is less resin means better tolerances, also means faster recovery. So we're trying to create graphite that will cover from a bend position to a straight position faster. And again, with this Acceleron material, we found it has the fastest recovery, most elasticity of a strong shaft as we could find. And we're the only guys using it. So hence the long drive thing. How do we find something to create speed? So we looked at making a shaft that was a premium shaft using these type of materials So, I mean, our iWood's great for somebody who wants to try a soft shaft. It's a price point shaft.
Yep.
FX, so same idea. It's a high quality shaft in a medium price point. This one uses all the best materials, but it's designed for a person looking for speed. So it's not necessarily for that slow speed player. It's for everybody looking for speed.
Right.
So whether it's you or I or even the long drive guys, they're looking for more speed. The idea of a soft shaft, something this is about 190 CPMs.
Yeah, that's what we
190
got, like
CPMs.
191 actually.
Yeah.
So really pretty soft.
Crazy.
So if you put that, on an old FM scale or whatever and look at the frequency, you'd say it's a lady shaft, right?
It's a double L.
Right, double L. Right. And the M0. The
Exactly.
M2 is a little more stable.
Yes, the M2 is more like a seniorish flex shaft.
That probably makes more sense, to be honest. But
For the average golfer looking for speed, I'm a big proponent of that.
Yeah.
I like that. For the long drive guys, they're looking for M0, and we now have 5 or 6 guys using prototypes of this shaft, and it's gone crazy on the long drive world too. So we have like 3 different ACCRA shafts that are blowing it up. It's a real cool story. But from your perspective, from a fitting idea, I think it gives you something as an option for your people coming in that they're looking for speed.
Yeah.
This also has less
Yeah, I mean,
stability.
44 grams, that's actual weight, by the way, and that's measured in our data, right? So
Yep.
it's 44.3.
Yep.
And we measured the whole shaft,
Yeah.
that's light.
At 46 inches.
46 inches. So by the time it's cut and everything else, it's probably sub 40 or close to it. Because you're taking probably 4 inches off one side and maybe a little bit off the other, but so you're talking really light shafts. And it's crazy that these long drive guys don't break the things, right?
You know what's
They used to break
amazing?
more, I think, when they had the double
The
X.
double X's. I agree. It's funny, from an ACCRA perspective from years ago, we always got asked to get in the long drive world. And I always said, look, there are wonderful guys out there, but they break a lot of shafts, and I'm not sure I really want to get into that world.
Right. And they want it for free, too.
And so we never did. And now all of a sudden we are head over heels, like in the middle of it. And
Right.
it's been a blast. It started off with a guy named Justin James, and there's a group of guys that kind of all jumped on board, and it's really cool seeing what they've done with it and working with those guys. So that's the blue one, and we're looking for this. It's been launched, like I said, the long drive world and prototypes. It's just coming out this week. We're starting to ship them to some of our dealers.
Right.
You guys are going to be getting some in, and we're looking forward to seeing it get to retail.
Right. So that's the blue line, which is
Yes.
the high launching, super light, lady, senior, or long drive, right?
Yeah.
And almost anyone can try that kind of thing and see what happens. And I think that's probably the right way to do it. You
Yeah.
know, it's difficult to play it in play when you hit one out of bounds, but that's okay.
That's the
it's worth
trade-off.
a shot. Right?
That's the trade-off. It's speed for some consistency, for sure.
Yep. And then you got your second line, which is the green,
Yep.
which if you look at the GX line, that's the mid-launch stuff.
Yep.
This is a little lower launching, if anything, from the kind of data we've got. I mean, it's mid. It's not super low by any means.
Yeah, I think you got to talk about red and green together with the Shogun.
Yeah, probably.
They kind of go hand in hand. Generally,
Yeah, that's a difference from the blue, which is super light
Yeah.
and soft and all that stuff. These two are more, these could be played on tour. Some of these things are pretty stiff.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look at the M5 data and it's pretty stout.
yeah, it's the idea of the red and green in this line is, yes, in other lines that ACCRA has, the green tends to be the mid-launch and the red tends to be the low launch. With these, they're more comparable. Like you said, in some data you can find the red actually to be a little bit higher launch, but it's because of the design of it.
Right.
So the idea with these two is to create two tour shafts.
Right.
With dramatically different profiles. So the green shaft has a very soft butt section, or I should say it's a medium soft butt section comparatively to the tip, because the tip is so stiff.
Got it.
So the tip is one of the stiffest tip sections we've ever made.
Yeah, it is actually. We were looking at the numbers on the tip stuff in there, and we're like 34 on the M572, which is
Again, we're talking M572. By the time you get to the 52 gram shaft, it's designed more for the average guy, and I think what you'll find is the launch conditions will go up dramatically in the M3 and M4. So when you look at the M5, yeah, this is a tour shaft. But again, when you get to the M3 and M4, which is for most golfers, this is going to be a very playable mid-low launch shaft with a very smooth feeling, because the butt is, like I said, relatively softer than especially the red shaft. Midsection, sort of a mid section, and then the tip gets much firmer.
Gotcha.
And the torque is, I would say, mid. It's about 3.5 kind of thing.
Yeah, that is kind of mid these days. A lot of people got a little more torque just because, the problem with low torque, you get super low and stiff. yeah, it feels like crap.
It feels like crap, and what we found, especially with this shaft here and testing it, because it's got such a firm tip section, we want to have some feel to the shaft. So having a little bit of torque and a little bit of play helps. Plus, the new driver heads, and you are the expert at testing driver heads. There's nobody that knows more about driver heads than you. When it comes to new driver heads, what we are finding is they're all super low or high MOI.
Yeah, absolutely.
And low spin. So it's kind of this combination that's bizarre out there it's really made this year dramatic change.
Yeah, we've seen a difference in the testing this year. Obviously, the old 10K stories come out, and we're actually measuring MOI on everything, which we're going to publish over the next few months. Tom Mace is back in his office, measuring, spinning these things all over the place now. He's got just about all of them done. So look for that on next month's information. But yeah, they are surprisingly low spin. So high MOI means deep CG typically, right? Because you need the resistance for twisting. And in the old days, when you got the CG deep, that usually added launch and added spin. Not so much anymore. And it's definitely true. There's some low spinning. The ping is pretty low spinning for a 10K driver. It really is. I thought that was going to be a high handicap club. And I think that fits a lot of people, and it might go in my bag. So
there you go. So when we looked at when you say high MOI or I say high MOI, that like you said, it refers to resistance to twisting.
Right.
And the other thing that torque has two things it does. First of all, it's obviously how much it twists, but so it affects feel.
Yeah, affects feel a lot.
But it also, what we found is affects a bit of spin rate, and a lot of it's because of the twisting. So again, when you have current drivers that are low spinning and have a resistance against twisting, we don't need, we feel, to have super low torque in the shaft.
Right.
And that therefore, this shaft is sort of designed for the heads that are coming out now, and that's where the shaft's coming out now. The red version, again, sort of is the not reincarnation, the newest version using different materials, but a general profile like our original RPG, which Gary Woodland won the U.S. Open with.
Right.
And the idea is
he's not exactly a smooth, slow cleaner.
No.
He's a strong guy. I mean, he really...
I would argue can be the longest hitter on tour when he wants to be. He just likes to play that nice little soft fade all day. But I mean, the idea with this is a very, very, very strong butt section, so the polar opposite of the green shaft.
Right.
And a smooth transition down to sort of I'll say a mid section.
Right.
And a moderate low torque, just over 3 kind of thing. So the idea behind this shaft is you get that real smooth feeling, smooth transition, but starting from a very, very, very strong butt section. All of these shafts are a constant taper design, so what you find is there's no parallel section up in the butt. So again, better transmission of energy, which we're trying to again transmit energy, recover faster, and have stability, less ovaling by that material. So that's all part of this shaft. So both of these shafts are really going to be tour shafts, and from a fitting perspective, it gives you 2 shafts. Again, all of our shafts have what we call constant flex technology. So if you're fitting either of these 2 shafts in an M4 for somebody, whether it's a 50 gram, a 60 gram, or 70 gram shaft, if you're using M4, it's always going to be the same flex. It's
I'm looking at some of the S3 data we took. Obviously, you've got machines as well, but I mean, they're identical as far as the CPMs, the two of them, which is kind of cool.
So the cool thing is, and it's something you and I were talking about earlier on, we've kind of proven the point that frequency and profile, or EI, are not linear in any way. They can be very
totally
different.
Independent.
These are 2 totally different shafts, one with a soft butt and a stiff tip, one with a stiff tip and a softer butt, and yet the frequencies are the exact same.
Yeah, but they feel different and they act differently, and totally different shaft.
So it's a cool thing for fitting. It means once you figure out a guy or a girl or somebody needs a certain flex, you can now go up and down in weight and up and down in profile to work with that person. So it gives you all sorts of options without worrying about, oh no, I'm going to a lighter shaft, so now the flex is going to get softer. Now I got to worry about, do I got to tip it more or something like that to make up for it. These do all for it.
Yeah, we should see what happens when we tip these, because we've done a bunch of testing. Obviously, we tip all the shafts that we use in our line, and some shafts, you tip them an inch, and they change dramatically, and some don't at all. I'm guessing these are going to change quite a bit.
Yeah, so it's a simple line. The idea is offer your fitters and consumers and golfers really 3 different profiles of shafts that offer different results, different feel, but your tolerances are going to be the best in the industry, and you've got different options for flights and things like that.
And in the blue, you just make the M0 and M2, and we'll try tipping an M0, so we get an M1 out of it. And then this you make both the M3, M4, M5. And M3's regular stiff.
Yep.
Right.
We're tend to be on the higher end of our
Yeah,
fluxes.
I would call your M3 almost a stiff, and M4s, border around X, and M5s are, seriously tour shafts. And in the red one, you just make the, 70 and
62 and 72, and the green is a 52, 62, and 72.
and this just comes in M4 and M5 in the
Yes.
red. Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
There you go.
Well, this is not something you're going to find in, TaylorMade or Callaway's, fitting carts, right?
No. So with ACCRA, one thing we do is all of our shafts are specifically designed for club fitters. So, I mean, this is only available at cool clubs and professional high-end fitting centers. It's also going to be on the PGA Tour and DP World Tour. We're pushing a lot out there. This is designed to be sort of a tour product, but only available to golfers through professional club fitters.
Come find a club fitter and come visit us and try them out.